When I tell y'all I was converted to a Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur fan overnight, I am not exaggerating.
That is correct. Absolutely 100% correct.
Ding that little bell thingy so you can get all of the notifications.
This show is ridiculous. Like, you don't even need Disney Plus. That's the best part. It's on the actual Disney Channel YouTube page. This is just ridiculously good. I think of it as like a modern show that gives you the feel of an old school cartoon. Stuff that could have a lot of heart, style, humor, and a really universal appeal while also really being primed for young audiences. When you think of stuff like your Hey Arnolds or your Static Shocks, even your Proud Families. Now I'm talking about the OG Proud Family, because Loud and Prouder, I'm actually making a video about Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. But yeah, no, because it's for kids, they say a lot of like the things, you know, that youth of the day say. They're very much kids, but it doesn't try so hard to be relatable to kids that it forgets to be a good show on its own. And it also is something that uses a lot of different cultural aspects and weaves it into the style and characterization of the characters, like the way it uses music. By the way, y'all, I'm a sucker for things that incorporate music and sound into just the design of the thing. And in this case, because Lunella is from, I believe, the Lower East Side of New York, this show is extremely New York. I feel like as someone who is not from New York, it looks like what I would expect a show set in New York to look like if it were aimed at kids. And like, it's extremely culturally and ethnically diverse, but there's a huge community aspect of it. Speaking of Moon Girl herself, she's freaking adorable. It's probably the best example of the kid genius trope I've seen in a minute. She's really not so much an obnoxious, perfect know-it-all. So she's 13 years old, super genius, but she's still very much a kid. She also isn't, thank the Lord, she's not some OP perfect Mary Sue that is just flawless and everyone just loves her. In fact, every episode, Lunella gonna fuck something up. They gave her actual character flaws. Like, she's really smart, obviously. She's good at pretty much all the school stuff, but she's also very impatient. She also is like high strung to a degree where people are like, you just straight up don't even know how to have fun. She's such a perfectionist that she goes from being competitive to being full blown like,
oh, we're playing Twister? Okay, let me bust out a science book and see what would be the best way to twist my body to do all this stuff.
You know, just little stupid stuff like that. Also, I don't know if she has any type of like diagnosis of anything, but I definitely feel like they just gave her the trait of her being like extremely intellectual, but not very emotionally connected. Expression or emotion based stuff tends to be where some of the conflict comes from in the episodes, and I think that was a really interesting choice. Really, I don't have any hard critiques about this show. The worst I can say about it right now is that, as you can see with the art, this is very much a high energy show. There's multiple visual and audio things happening all the time. If you are like a seizure person, do not watch the show because you will have them every episode. The jokes, the action, the everything, the scene transitions, it's all very high energy. Now, because my mind is in a million places a minute, that's fine for me. But if that's not your speed, you maybe not skip the show, but maybe only watch it maybe one episode at a time, or else it may be too much. But because the show is designed for that purpose from the ground up, I think it works. It could stand to slow down a little bit. It does at times, you know, there are, especially when whatever part in the episode where Lunella realizes how bad she fucked up, that usually is a moment where things slow down. The narrative gives you time to breathe, the effects calm down. And when things get serious, the show actually lets things happen. It lets you feel it, lets the characters be actual people. It's an invaluable thing. I like the whole cast. Like, her family is so wholesome. It's like, it's one of those 3 generational families where the grandpa, the granddad, and the mom and the dad and her are all in the same family unit. And it's really good. Everyone gets a good amount of characterization. I don't feel like anyone is just there to be there. Her best friend Casey is adorable. She has other friends like Eduardo and stuff at school. Her rogues gallery is completely completely ridiculous, but it's perfect because this is a kid show. It really does feel like this could have came on after Kim Possible. And even when it comes to things like diversity and representation, there's that in here, but I feel like it's done in a very sincere way. There are queer characters, but they're allowed to just be characters.
My mom's turntables got busted and faster. I'm running the regulars, all this popcorn. Not you, I'm talking to my dad.
There actually is a non-binary character in the show, but they're literally an AI machine. Like, it's a computer that is literally a AI that wants to bond with people and also has a split personality that gets like murderous. So it's really interesting. I believe their name is ROS something, but it wasn't like they had that character in there just to say we have a non-binary character. The fact that they had the AI character be non-binary, that rides the line of cheesy and clever enough to get a laugh out of me either way. And the Ross character is actually one of the more interesting villains or antagonists in the show. So I think they actually made a pretty cool idea with that character. But like, there's all types of people in there, all different cultures and stuff, and they're just allowed to exist in the world. And this world is completely ridiculous. The fact that Lawrence Fishburne is voicing one of the main villains. So this is the Beyonder, and Lawrence Fishburne plays him, and he is ridiculous.
And it is glorious!
He is completely giving me a hymn from Powerpuff Girl vibes. I can't sing the show's praises enough, y'all. Who would have thought that this is where we would be 2023 with Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur being the best Marvel property out right now, but here we are. Editing Animane here, and I just wanted to drop in real quick with one little addition to everything I've just said, and that's unfortunately concerning the lack of coverage for Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. Not a lot of people are covering the show. Definitely not the usual suspects on Nerd Commentary Twitter. I haven't seen a single one of these guys cover this show, and if they did, I missed it. Now, there could be valid reasons for this. I mean, I think it's safe to say that most of us are sick and tired of the MCU's crap. We're suffering from rising frustration and apathy and lowering levels of interest for all things Marvel. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur also just isn't a largely popular series, at least not with adults. That is also understood, and all these are valid reasons. But I have a strange theory, and it is just a theory. I'm admitting this up front. But I have a theory about why some of our other bigger name people in this sphere of YouTube aren't covering this show. And that's because it's good. I think people aren't really covering the show because it's good. Or rather, it's not actively egregiously bad. Negativity moves the needle more than positivity. Dunking on something, tearing it apart, those things are gonna get more views than a video that's just positively reviewing something. It's the nature of the beast. I mean, I've been on YouTube since it existed. I already know how things go on this platform, and I accept that. But I think at moments like this, it does us a disservice. I was watching a video from your boy Zach a couple days ago where he was actually talking about a similar phenomenon with Star Trek Picard, because season 3 of that dropped, and apparently that's pretty good. But you still have a lot of people who are just gonna jump up and hate on the show just because you're supposed to hate things now. You're supposed to hate the current thing. Current thing bad, new thing's bad. That's the name of the game. Zach was talking about it more from a perspective of people who claim to be reviewing things and being heroes of the culture when really they just have an axe to grind against everyone for not getting the respect they think they deserve. And I think that's very much the case for a lot of these folks. But that's not necessarily happening here. So I'm not trying to say that everyone is doing the exact same thing. It's in the same family of argument, if that makes sense. I think a lot of people are refusing to say positive things about modern media, even when praise is warranted, because it doesn't fit the narrative. It doesn't fit the game plan. You're supposed to hate the thing. You're supposed to talk about how everyone hates you. You're supposed to call everything woke. And when something doesn't fit that description, you must either ignore it or find some accusatory angle that you can use to spin everything and make it seem bad, even when it's not. There really is no woke angle to take with Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. yeah, you have LGBT people, you have black characters as the main characters, you have a little black girl who's a genius, but these things are not woke on their own. And with nothing egregiously smacking you in the face screaming wokeness, there's no super ultra cringy scenes or lines like they had with Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. But honestly, that brings up another point of contention I have. And I'll admit right off the bat, this could easily just be a me thing, but I think it's a little janky how that stuff was making the round for weeks on social media and YouTube by a bunch of people who probably never gave a damn about the Proud Family in the first place. But then when we get a good show that comes out, Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur, which is a great show on its own, a great MCU property, a great Marvel property, and a great show starring a black main character, crickets. It's crickets. There are only 2 people that I'm subscribed to that have even covered this show at all. And one of them was really just going over the history of the Moon Girl character. So really, no one in this sphere of YouTube is covering this show, but everyone was talking about how the Proud Family was woke and anti-white and was trying to brainwash kids with the far leftism. This is not me saying that people are racist or any weird shit like that, but I think that it is very, very disheartening. I think it's disheartening when every time we turn our attention to things that center black folks, it's wokeness, it's trash. And if I'm being completely honest, I think that's going to add to this growing sentiment that fuses black folks and wokeness. I don't think it's everyone around here. I don't even think it's necessarily most people. But I have heard people, some of whom have very big audiences and very big platforms, say that they just do not pay attention to black stuff because they're worried that or assuming that it's already gonna be woke. And I'm sorry, that's fucked up. That's a fucked up way to be. I've thought things like that similarly, but I usually keep it in check. I'd say, oh, I really hope this isn't woke. I have to calm myself down, Anime. If there's nothing in here that's making you think it's gonna be woke, don't even give that thought any power. And I just don't like that. Zach made this point as well, and I'll use this to close out on. As critics and commentators, we give our opinion, often harshly when necessary, sometimes even not when necessary, but always for a reason. That at some point we're expecting the culture to get better. Now, some people are of the opinion that the culture is not going to get better, at least not as long as the big guys are still the big guys. I don't necessarily have that opinion. I think that we're in a specific era of media that's already past its heyday. In a few years, we could see this stuff really start to turn around seriously, and that is due in no small part to small-time creators, indie creators, and yes, people who are still in the industry who give a damn about telling good stories, about weaving in things like theme and deep characterization, and yes, diversity and inclusion in a way that is still entertaining, in a way that doesn't beat people over the head with virtue signaling. We can't just sit around and talk about how everything sucks, and then when good stuff comes out, we just don't even give it a chance. We don't even acknowledge it. Even if we're not going to watch it ourselves, we can go, hey, okay, they're doing a thing over there. That's cool. That's good that that exists, and I hope people really enjoy it. Go check it out. Even if you're personally tapped out of the whole Marvel thing. But if we're just going to sit around and talk about how everything sucks, and nothing's ever actually going to get better. This ended up turning into more of a rant than a video wrap up, but let me know what you think. How do you feel about Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur? Have you seen it at all? Did you even know it dropped? A lot of people just straight up didn't even know that the show existed. And if you're still plugged into any of this culture war stuff, let me know how you feel about that too. And let's have us a good old-fashioned conversation. But with that being said, thank y'all for watching and listening. I'm Anime, and I'll talk to y'all later. Deuces. Go watch Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur right now. Go watch it. It's fire.